All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been doing a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm in the accessibility portion, so you can see I've done the getting started with the web, the HTML structuring the web, the CSS styling the web, the JavaScript dynamic client scripting, the web forms, working with user data, and I'm in the accessibility. So I'm down at the bottom here, and there is a little like a checklist or something that's next. I guess the troubleshooting, and I don't know if that's, yep, I guess that's going to be in the next section then. So we've got a couple more. We've got the mobile accessibility and then the assessment for accessibility troubleshooting to go here. All right, and again, not probably been giving these their due diligence, but let's just go on. With web access on mobile devices being so popular and renowned, platforms such as iOS and Android having full-fledged accessibility tools, it's important to consider the accessibility of your web content on these platforms. So, the state of accessibility, as it says, is good in modern devices. And that's good. These days, mobile devices can handle fully featured websites, and even the main platforms have screen readers built in. Modern mobile browsers tend to have good WAI/ARIA support as well. To make a website as accessible and usable on mobile devices as possible, you need to follow good design principles. It says there are some special exceptions that need consideration for mobile. Control mechanisms. All right, again, a button on a phone, especially a smaller phone, may be a lot harder to work with than a button on a computer. All right, user input, make user requirements as painless as possible, and of course, responsive design, which we've talked about before. The most common mobile platforms, as it says, have fully functional screen readers. It says, let's take a look at the main two. TalkBack on Android and VoiceOver on iOS. I have never used either one of them. So again, TalkBack is for Android. And as it says, when TalkBack is turned on, your Android device basic controls will be a bit different. You can take a look at it right there. And it'll involve doing things differently is what they're talking about in here. Even browsing between pages is going to end up being different then. So they go through all the steps in here, and then they do a similar thing for iOS VoiceOver. And again, this is going to become more important, I guess, in the day when the day comes, not if, but when the day comes, when I'm getting more and more people who require assistive technologies. I know I've given you my own stories about having totally blind and legally blind people and how I've had to adjust the way that I teach based on that. Okay. All right. It says in our CSS and JavaScript accessibility article, we looked at the idea of events that are specific to certain types of control mechanism. To recap, these cause accessibility issues because other control mechanisms can't activate the associated functionality. All right, and they give some examples. A key one here really and truly is responsive design. And remember, with responsive design, what you want to do is you want to give a pleasant viewing experience to anyone and everyone, regardless of what they are using to actually take a look at, figuratively or literally, your site or whatever it is they're working with. As it says, some of the problems that are associated here with mobile devices, suitability of layouts for mobile devices, and I've gone through this. All right, I've had people, because I've taught for several years, taught the creation of Android apps, and first of all, it's tough enough anyway, because if you're working with, for example, if you're working with somebody who's got a small phone, it's going to be a lot harder to lay things out on a screen than if they're working on, let's say, a desktop or a laptop machine. Images can be a big thing, you know, and there's another big one that's in here that's not even listed here. They talk about image sizes and they talk about resolutions, but going along with that is just the fact that typically with a phone, you've got you know, especially possibly with a tablet too, but especially with a phone, you've got battery life considerations that become really important. All right. Specific mobile considerations, as it says, not disabling zoom. Using viewport, it is possible to disable zoom. Always ensure resizing is enabled. Again, you want to make sure that people can pinch and make things bigger. You want to keep the menus accessible. Even if they're hidden, you want to make it easy for them to get them back as needed. On mobile devices, inputting data tends to be more annoying for users. So some of the things in here, like using the number type, the tell type, which will typically, you know, you've all done this probably, where you go to a website that says, do you want to call them, basically, and especially if you're on a phone and you press it, boom, it'll make the call for you. So again, didn't spend much time on this. I would strongly suggest that if this becomes an issue for you, you look at the guidelines for mobile web development and make your site work on touch devices as a start. So what's next rather is the assessment for accessibility troubleshooting, which I believe at least is right here. Yep. So that's the last one we've got, and I'll be back with that one in just a couple minutes.